Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the NHL DFS slate for Friday, January 27th. We got ourselves an 8-game slate here tonight where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays, and then we'll wrap up today's video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals, where you can see 3 of these games are coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals, and then the other 5 games are all coming in at 6 goals even. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds, where you can see each team who's favored to win tonight. And then here's a quick schedule update. This is my last video here for this week, and a reminder, the NHL All-Star break starts next week as well, Thursday through Sunday. They do have slates next Monday through Wednesday, but we got just 1 game on Monday, 3 games on Tuesday, and 2 games on Wednesday. I very well could break down that 3-game Tuesday slate, but not going to do the Monday or Wednesday slate. I'll keep you guys posted in the Discord, and if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight, starting with that second line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got Tavares centering Järnkrok and Nylander, and I like the matchup at home here tonight for Toronto against an Ottawa Senators team that has really struggled here over the past 2 weeks, having allowed 3.83 goals per game over their past 6 games, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 73% rate. And right now, Tavares and Nylander are playing some really good hockey. The two have combined for 9 goals, 16 assists, 25 points, and 91 shots on net in just their past 10 games. You'll see both those guys play up on the number 1 power play, and then Järnkrok here, easy to justify at his price at $3,100, and he gets time on the number 2 power play. And then as a cheaper line stack here tonight, I like this first line for the Carolina Hurricanes. We got Aho centering Teravainen and Jarvis. Good matchup at home here tonight against the San Jose Sharks, who have also really struggled over the past 2 weeks, having allowed 4.17 goals per game over their past 6 games, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 75% rate. Now, the Hurricanes have been shuffling some things as of late, so do keep an eye on their lineup here for tonight, but I believe we're going to see Aho and Teravainen play up on the number 1 power play, and then Jarvis play down on the number 2 power play. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays there, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I know we're now over the halfway point of the NHL season. The NHL All-Star break is next week, so we're going to have a quiet week next week, but once those guys return from the NHL All-Star break, I'm going to have content to come out for you guys to close out the regular season, as well as content for the NHL playoffs, so we're going to look to close things out here on a strong note. I appreciate every single one of you who have tuned into my NHL videos up to this point this season. Now, unfortunately, as I record here this morning, we just got word that Austin Matthews is going to be out for the next few weeks, and so Toronto did shuffle their lines this morning. We now got Tavares playing with Mitch Marner here and Michael Bunting on the left wing. So I like this as a line stack here. I might pivot to more of that first line for the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. I got Patrik Laine there, so I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But the nice thing here about Bunting and Marner is both of those guys are currently playing up on the number 1 power play at practice this morning as well. So it is a strong correlated line stack. But the numbers that I just talked about, we can forget about those. Outside of Tavares, he's playing some really good hockey right now. And of course, Marner's great. Bunting, he's really affordable here tonight, and I'll put their prices up here in just a minute. Alright, now we're getting back to the individual plays here. You can see I just put the pricing up there for that first line for Toronto. Bunting, like I said, very affordable at $4,500. Marner, we all know what he can do, $6,700. So it's affordable here for sure, and really strongly correlated, and obviously, I still like that matchup against Ottawa. But let's dive into the individual plays here. We're going to kick it off with the forwards and Patrik Laine. Kind of just name drop that I like this first line of him, Boone Jenner, and Johnny Gaudreau tonight. Great matchup, obviously, here against the Vancouver Canucks. We've been targeting them all year long, a team that's given up 3.96 goals per game this season, the second most in the NHL, and they legitimately have the worst penalty kill in the NHL, one that's hit at just a 66% rate. Laine's been really solid here over his past 10 games, and I like the way he's been shooting the puck here, especially over his past 3 games. Really, over his past 10, he's been shooting the puck at a high rate. 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points during that stretch, while averaging around 4.5 shots on net per game. Now, one game I like targeting in general here tonight is this game between the Kings and Panthers. I think we could see both of these teams on the power play quite a bit, as the Florida Panthers have taken the most minor penalties in the NHL this year, and the Kings have taken the 5th most. I really think we could go with any one of those top 3 lines and really just target forwards on that number 1 power play for the Los Angeles Kings, but Kevin Fiala is the one that sticks out to me. He's been the most consistent and productive. Over his past 10 games here, he's racked up 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points, while averaging 4 shots on net per game, and you can see 7 of those 14 points have come on the power play. Now, on the other side of that game, I went with Sam Reinhart here. I really like the price tag of $5,300, and I like that he's playing up on that first line right now with Barkov and Lundell, and Barkov has really started to find his game here as of late. That's not to say I don't like the second line, because I do. You got Bennett centering Verhaeghe, who's playing some really good hockey, and Tkachuk. My only issue with that is Tkachuk is the only one who plays up on that number 1 power play, whereas Verhaeghe and Bennett play down on the second, and again, I think we could see the Panthers on the power play quite a bit here tonight. So I like Reinhart, I like this price tag, I like that Los Angeles has not been very good on the penalty kill this year, just hitting at a 74% rate. I should mention here with Kevin Fiala, yes, the Florida Panthers take a lot of penalties, and they have not been very good on the penalty kill this year either, just hitting at a 73.9% rate, the 7th worst in the NHL. Now, if we take a look here at his last 10 games here for Sam Reinhart, he's racked up 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. You can see 7 of those points have come on the power play. Would like him to shoot the puck a little bit more, but as long as he's getting on the score sheet at that price, I think he's a viable option. And actually, another game that I'd like to target here tonight in general is that game between the Canucks and Blue Jackets, 2 teams who have really struggled defensively this year. And on the Vancouver side of things, I like Andrei Kuzmenko here at this price of $5,000. Obviously, the Blue Jackets, they've allowed 3.85 goals per game this year. I feel like I've talked about that quite a bit. 3rd most in the NHL, with a penalty kill that's hit at a 77% rate. Kuzmenko's currently playing up on that first line with Elias Pettersson, plays up on that number 1 power play. He actually just got paid, signed a 2-year extension with Vancouver just the other day, and you can see he's been solid here over his past 10 games. 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Just one of those points coming on the power play, so a little different than the last 2 guys that we just highlighted. I'd also like him to shoot the puck a little bit more as well, but again, as long as he's getting on the score sheet at that price, in a good matchup like this, I think he's viable. And then I got Filip Chytil there of the New York Rangers, and honestly, everyone, I do feel a bit guilty putting him on the spreadsheet here because I meant to do so in his last game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Didn't end up doing it, obviously, and then I was going to put it in a comment on YouTube saying, hey, I think Chytil's a great value play. Didn't do that either. He ends up scoring 2 goals, putting up 23 DraftKings points, so now it looks like I'm kind of chasing this play, but look, hear me out. He has played some really solid hockey in his past 10 games in general. They got that 3rd line together back in New York of him, Kakko, and Lafreniere, the kid line they call it. I don't know if I'm going to go there on an 8-game slate, but it would be a contrarian line stack if you wanted to do so, and all 3 of those guys do play on the number 2 power play for the Rangers, so it is well correlated. But like I said, Chytil's playing some good hockey here over his past 10, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points, averaging around 3 shots on net per game, and I don't mind the matchup here at home tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights, who've started to slump here themselves over the past 2 weeks. They're just 1-4-1 over their past 6 games, while allowing 3.33 goals per game. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and there are some solid top-tier defensemen on this slate. I would be willing to pay up for Adam Fox of the Rangers, Montour of the Panthers, or Ekblad of the Panthers, and you can actually play both of those defensemen for the Panthers if you want to try and get unique with your lineups, being that both of those guys do play up on the number 1 power play, and I've talked about that game situation between them and the Kings here tonight already, but I think the most value lies within this 4 to 5K range, and all 4 of these guys that I have listed are currently playing up on their team number 1 power play. You might be going, Brady Shea, really? early? Well, that was the case last game at least. It very well could be Brent Burns once again, but Shea's a guy that can put up points. He's a guy that's very well-rounded and plays big minutes, and either way, he will get time on that number 2 power play, but for whatever reason, he played on the number 1 power play last game, so keep an eye on that, but I do really like his price. Morgan Riley there, $4,700. Love the matchup against the Senators. Talked about that. Drew Doughty, same thing. Talked about the LA Kings. They should be on the power play a handful of times here tonight against the Florida Panthers, who take the most penalties in the NHL. And then Vince Dunn, a little tougher matchup for sure. He's playing at home here tonight against the Calgary Flames, but he might be playing some of the best hockey in his NHL career as of late. He's racked up 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points in his past 10 games, while averaging around 2.5 shots on net per game and close to 24 minutes per game as well. That is all translated to roughly 14 DraftKings points per game over his past 10, so considering he's only $5,000 once again here tonight, I definitely think he's in play. And then I got a couple of Russian goaltenders there for you in Sorokin and Shesterkin. I actually really like Jake Ottinger at $7,600 as well. Think he's just a little too low priced. He should probably be closer to $7,800 or $7,900. Obviously a tougher matchup at home against the Devils, but they are playing on back-to-back nights. So I did go with Sorokin and Shesterkin here on the spreadsheet. Look, the Islanders have been struggling as of late. I do understand that, but Sorokin's numbers at home have been very legit this year. A goals allowed average of 2.00 and a save percentage of .933, averaging close to 17 DraftKings points per game. And this does feel like a get-right spot for the Islanders at home here tonight, playing the Detroit Red Wings, who are playing on back-to-back nights after losing to the Montreal Canadiens just last night. And then with Shesty there, I just think he's a little too cheap here at $7,600, especially considering the Rags are home favorites, sitting at -155. Shesterkin's been solid this year. He's not having the Vezina performance that he had last season, but he's still 21-8-7 on the season, with the goals allowed average of 2.45 and a save percentage of .918. We know this guy can go for 25, 30 plus DraftKings points on any given night. Like I said, I just think he's a little too cheap here, considering that the Rags are home favorites. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays, but honestly, everyone, not really in love with this 2 to 3K range here tonight, not really in love with the 4K range for what it's worth. You can see I put that in the notes. I think the 5 to 6K range is offering the most value at the forward position. I went with Ilya Mikheyev here as the first guy, though, playing up on that first line in number 2 power play for the Vancouver Canucks. He actually has 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points in 23 home games this year, playing around 16-17 minutes per game, and I do like the matchup against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Jarrett Anderson-Dolan here, we're going to need to keep an eye on this. He is playing down on the third line right now, but has recently been playing up on the number 1 power play. Again, talked about that situation with the Kings here tonight. Should see themselves on the power play a handful of times. We've seen him log around 15-16 minutes here as of late over his past 4 games, where he's had 2 goals and 13 shots on net. And then Ridley Greige there, I think that's pronounced right. He is playing with the Ottawa Senators right now, had his NHL debut just last game, played on that second line with Giroux and DeBrincat, and played on that number 2 power play as well. He looked good in 13.5 minutes of ice time. He had 1 assist, which came on the power play, with 8 shots on net. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Now, for starters, if you have not signed up for prize picks yet, but you want to get in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now, you do not have to put $100 in either. If you want to put in $50, they'll match that $50. If you want to put in $20, they'll match that $20. Again, they will match anything up to $100 as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, upon signing up. Now, with an 8-game slate here tonight, for those of you on Prize Picks, you know the deal. I think we're going to have some solid picks available for us tonight. I'm going through these here a little early, and I have a few that are sticking out to me, but I'm going to do my research and let you know my final picks in a comment below on this video, and I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. Don't forget, I am posting those picks in my Discord channel too, and if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 8-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.